Hello YouTube, just wanted to show you a solar systems integration. So I have 3 solar panels and 3 separate systems integrating together into something very simple and I think a low barrier to entry so that you could use uh, power and get something out of it and charge small things and power small lights like this. So I'm using this to power my phone and charge it, as well as turn on this LED. And so I'll kind of give you the breakdown here of what's going on, because it looks like a wiring mess, but I promise it's organized chaos. So this is a 13.6 volt charge controller, and so I'm using basically uh, the input comes into this diode onto this positive capacitor rail, and I have a couple smaller capacitors to pick up more energy for these larger capacitors, and then that blue wire comes off of that positive rail to the source of my MOSFET over there, and then um, my gate, it has the zener diode string, as you can see, and then I have one resistor before it goes into there for the correct forward voltage and to get more current into that for the switching. And so I believe for this one, it's I'm not gonna say, I made another video on it already, I forget, but one is 1K and one is 10,000K. So I think the 10,000K one is the one that's going to ground, and then the 1K one is that one, I believe, but I could be wrong. And then so yeah, I'm using germanium zener diodes. I've already discussed the specifications of all these parts in an earlier video that you can find. And then so I have this positive pin from my MOSFET coming into this common positive that I made into this pin for this input charging, and then that way I can basically be powering the inverter, but it's also my common positive coming out of this other solar panel. So this solar panel, so this is coming off of a 45 watt solar panel, and then my buck converter there, that's a 90 watt panel that's coming into that one. And then basically I have a small diode and then an automotive fuse. And the fuse is nice because you can use it as a plug-in. So you can plug and play and like wire like this charger to this charger. So basically what's happening is like I can use that 90 watt panel to charge this, but it's also charging this, you see? And if I want to disconnect this, I can, because basically that'll make this charge controller on this other system see this voltage, which is 14.6. So now this one, this red and black one, that's connected to my other solar panel, which is a zamp charge controller on the panel, and that guy is, I believe, just a really small one, like 10 amps or something like that. Obviously 12 volt. And so it likes to cap out around 13.6 volts with that charge controller, and it doesn't necessarily like um, this the voltage seen from that buck converter. And so what you can do is you can turn down the buck converter to match it so that this doesn't turn off, or you can have this as a boost stage to get your batteries to a higher voltage if you're cycling them. And so all you have to do is just unplug that there. So now you have two kind of freestanding systems, one buck converter and one Z-amp charge controller. See? And then also you're still connected with a common positive between these two batteries, so they're kind of effectively wired in parallel. And then it's like ready for use, built-in inverter ready to go. And then like also I can even power like more lights or a compressor. So I'm powering these lights, this light, and charging my phone, and I can turn on a pump. Oh, sorry, wrong switch. And it charges all of that easy, no problem. And that's just tiny little batteries. So if you want to look for a way to cut down on electricity cost with a low barrier to entry, that's not super um, technically adept, if you will. It doesn't require much research like the 0 point energy stuff that I'm showing you guys. Um, but yeah, it's very useful, and you can charge your phones, you can power lights, you can charge your laptops, you can charge a bigger battery bank to have on hand, and then you can use that as a backup for like keeping your refrigerator or your freezer running for a period of time without having to have a generator and buy fuel. Um, you could have it to where you power certain devices periodically, or even if you scaled up your solar indefinitely. Um, and these things are pretty cheap, and it's pretty simple. And the buck converter works pretty well. It's not necessarily the most efficient way of charging, but I just wanted to show you can use multiple systems, and you can also integrate them together very easily. And you don't even have to have a buck converter for small solar panels. You can literally make your own charge controller out of just MOSFET, diodes, and capacitors. And so I just wanted to give you guys more tools in your tool belt, and just some things that I've learned over the past 2 weeks of me starting to dabble into solar, because it's very useful. Anyways, thank you.